Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going behind the scenes of the Summer Olympics. We've got this really cool document that breaks down pretty much everything about it, from its history to what it really takes to be an Olympian. And get this, did you know the Summer and Winter Games used to be in the same year?
Yeah, it's wild, right? It's true. They were held every 4 years together until 1992. Do you imagine the logistics of that?
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
Yeah. So the International Olympic Committee,
Yeah.
they decided to stagger them. So now we have this 2-year cycle. And it makes sense, right? Each games gets more attention and the resources it deserves that way.
Yeah, definitely. So thinking about how much has changed.
Hmm.
The first modern Olympics were in Athens, Greece, way back in 1896. What a difference from today, right? Only 14 countries were there.
It's hard to imagine the scale of those early games now compared to what we see today. I mean, over 200 nations and something like 33 sports these days.
Wow. Yeah, it really has come a long way.
And it wasn't just the size. It was only male athletes back then.
Right. Completely different world. It's amazing how much the games have evolved over time.
It really is.
It makes you think about all the things that have happened in the world during that time, too. Like, there were no Olympics
Yeah.
between 1936 and 1948 because of World War II.
Right. It shows how the games are connected to, well, everything else going on, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about what it takes to actually become an Olympian. It's got to be more than just being a great athlete.
Oh, for sure. Our source actually goes into some pretty demanding criteria. First of all, athletes need to be, in good standing with their sports. Yeah. International federation.
So no scandals or anything like that?
Exactly. No doping violations or anything like that. They need a totally clean record.
Gotcha. So it's like maintaining a perfect reputation, too.
Pretty much. And on top of that,
Yeah.
they need to be at the very top of the world rankings.
Wow. So they have to be consistently competing and winning.
Yep. At the highest level.
Yeah.
And even then, only a certain number from each country can qualify for each event.
That must be some tough competition.
Oh, absolutely.
There are actually a couple of real-life schedules in here from a swimmer and a gymnast who are in the Olympics. And let me tell you, these athletes basically live and breathe their sport. They're training constantly. They've got competitions, media stuff, and they even make time to watch other Olympic events.
Yeah, it's a 247 kind of commitment.
It's pretty incredible.
It really is.
Yeah.
It gives you a glimpse into the kind of pressure they face
Yeah,
and how dedicated they have to be.
for sure.
Just imagine training for hours every single day, sticking to a strict diet, dealing with injuries, traveling all over the place for competitions.
It sounds exhausting.
It definitely is. And for a lot of them, the Olympics are a lifelong dream.
Yeah.
They dedicate years, sometimes decades, to get there.
Wow.
It really shows you it's not just about athletic ability. It takes unwavering dedication.
That's really inspiring. And speaking of inspiring, there are the Paralympic Games as well.
Oh, absolutely. Those were first held back in 1960. And they really highlight the incredible talents of athletes with disabilities. It's amazing to see. All the different adapted sports and just the sheer determination they show.
I love that. It really proves that, the human spirit can overcome so much. And then there's Team ROA, too, the Refugee Olympic Athletes.
Oh, yeah, that's a powerful one.
It was formed in 2016.
It allows athletes who have been displaced because of conflicts or persecution to compete under the Olympic flag. It's really a symbol of unity and hope.
It's so cool. And, these stories are just a small part of it. There are so many other examples of resilience and determination at the Olympics. It's so much more than just sports.
Exactly. It's a global stage for athletes to show not just their physical abilities, but their strength and their spirit, too.
It's pretty amazing thinking about all of this. What qualities stand out to you as being essential for an Olympian? I mean, beyond just being athletic, obviously.
That's a good question. For me, it's got to be mental toughness. The ability to overcome challenges and those inevitable setbacks. And, of course, that unwavering passion and dedication.
Well said. It's clear that there's so much more to the Olympics than meets the eye. And actually, in the next part of our deep dive, we're going to explore some of the modern-day challenges that the Summer Olympics is facing. It gets even more interesting, trust me. So stick around. Okay, so we've talked about all the inspiring stuff about the Olympics, the history, the dedication, all those amazing human stories. But let's be real. Like any big global event, there's also a not-so-bright side. There are some real challenges that the Olympics are facing today.
Yeah, that's true. As much as we love to focus on all the positive things, we can't ignore the issues that, threaten the integrity of the games.
Oh,
and even its sustainability, really.
absolutely. And one of the biggest ones that always comes up is doping.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's such a bummer when athletes try to cheat with banned substances. It just goes against everything the Olympics are supposed to be about.
Right. It completely undermines the idea of fair play.
Yeah.
And it casts a shadow on everyone who's competing clean.
Exactly. And the thing is,
Yeah.
it's not a simple problem to solve.
Nope. It's not just about catching those individual athletes
Yeah.
who are using these substances. You have to consider the pressure they're under
Yeah.
and how sophisticated these masking techniques are becoming. It raises all sorts of ethical questions, too.
It's true. Our source talks about how the testing methods are constantly changing to try and keep up.
It's like an arms race, almost.
Right.
The scientists have to figure out how to detect hundreds of banned substances
Mm.
across thousands of athletes. And the stakes are so high for everyone involved. A positive test can mean a ban from competition, damage to their reputation, even legal trouble in some cases.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And then on top of all that, there's the money issue. Hosting the Olympics is crazy expensive.
It is. Bidding to be a host city can get super competitive
Yeah.
because everyone wants that chance to be on the world stage. But it often comes with this massive price tag.
Right. You have to build these state-of-the-art facilities,
I know.
upgrade your whole infrastructure, provide security for everyone, and make sure there's enough space to accommodate thousands of athletes and visitors.
It's a huge undertaking.
And sometimes it doesn't even go according to plan. The source mentions that there's a risk of going way over budget, which can leave the host city in a lot of debt with all these fancy facilities that they don't really need afterwards.
Yeah, that raises a really important point about sustainability. How can the Olympics be hosted in a way that's responsible, both financially and environmentally?
Right. Maybe they should start looking at using existing facilities more often in cities that have already hosted the games.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Or maybe we'll start to see a shift towards smaller scale Olympics. That could definitely make things more manageable and sustainable.
Yeah, I like that. And speaking of change, another thing that's always being debated is adding new sports to the Olympics.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic.
Some people say that new sports dilute the traditional spirit of the games, but others think it's important to keep up with the times and attract younger audiences.
Yeah, there's always that tension between honoring tradition and,
Yeah,
keeping things fresh and relevant.
totally.
I mean, look at snowboarding and skateboarding. They were once seen as these kind of niche activities, and now they're Olympic staples.
It's crazy to think about.
It makes you wonder what's next. Could we see esports in the Olympics someday? Competitive gaming is huge these days.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. And then there's the whole issue of politics. The Olympics have always been this kind of stage for political statements and protests.
Yeah, they can't really be separated from the political landscape,
Duh.
even though they're supposed to be about unity and sportsmanship. Countries may use the games to push their own agendas or to protest against something they disagree with.
For sure, it's definitely a balancing act. Because on the one hand, the Olympics can be a powerful platform
Yeah.
to bring attention to important issues.
Right.
But on the other hand, you don't want political tensions to completely overshadow the athletes
Oh,
and the message of global unity.
exactly.
So we've covered a lot of pretty heavy stuff here. But even with all these challenges, I think it's important to remember that the Olympics still hold this incredible power. They can inspire people, bring different cultures together, and really showcase the best of humanity.
I agree. Despite all the complexities, the Olympics offer this glimpse into a world where people from all over
Yeah,
can come together to compete and push their limits. It's pretty inspiring.
totally.
And that's what makes the future of the Olympics so interesting to think about. How will they adapt to all these challenges? How will they continue to evolve
Right.
and keep inspiring people
Yeah.
in a world that's constantly changing?
Those are great questions. And that's actually a perfect segue into our final segment we're going to dive into. The future of the Summer Olympics and the legacy it will leave behind. So stay with us. So we've taken this journey through time, looking back at the history of the games and then facing some of those tougher realities of today. But now I think it's time to look forward. What's on the horizon for the Summer Olympics?
Well, the Olympics, they've always been a reflection of the world. And as the world keeps changing, the games will change right along with it.
For sure. We talked about some possible changes already, like new sports and figuring out how to host the games in a more sustainable way. But I'm curious, what other big shifts do you think we might see in the next, say, 50 years.
Well, I think technology is going to be huge.
Yeah, technology is changing everything these days.
Exactly. We're already seeing advancements in sports equipment, training techniques, even virtual reality is starting to play a role.
Virtual reality, huh?
Yeah, imagine athletes training in these hyper-realistic simulations or using AI to analyze their performance and find ways to optimize everything they do.
Whoa, that's pretty wild. But it makes me wonder, will all this technology actually make the games better? Or will it, kinda, take away from that human element, the raw talent and skill that we love to see?
That's the big question, isn't it? It's all about finding that balance. We want to embrace those technological advancements,
Yeah.
but we can't lose sight of those core values of the Olympics.
Yeah.
Human competition, sportsmanship, those are the things that make it special.
Totally agree. And I think another challenge, maybe the biggest challenge of all, will be keeping that spirit of global unity alive in a world that feels increasingly divided.
Yeah, I think you're right.
The Olympics have always represented this idea of cooperation between nations, this platform where people from all walks of life can come together and compete peacefully. But with all the political tension and conflict in the world, it's going to be harder and harder to hold on to that unity. It makes you think that the future of the Olympics isn't just about medals and records. It's about fostering dialogue and understanding between different cultures, reminding ourselves that at the end of the day, we're all part of the same human family.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
So, looking back at everything we've discussed, the history, the challenges, those inspiring stories of triumph, what do you think will be the most enduring legacy of the Summer Olympics?
That's a tough one. For me, it all comes back to the human spirit. The Olympics show us what's possible.
Yeah.
When people push their limits, when they have that unwavering dedication and passion. That's something that transcends borders and cultures. It's a universal language, really.
I love that. It's true. And even though not all of us can be Olympic athletes, we can all learn from that spirit and apply it to our own lives, right?
Absolutely. It's about setting goals and going after them, even when things get tough.
Yeah.
It's about never giving up on your dreams.
Well said. So, as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of the Summer Olympics, let's all try to carry a little bit of that Olympic spirit with us. Let's stay curious, keep pushing our own boundaries, and always remember to celebrate the incredible potential of the human spirit. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.